Mr Chair, I think,
Given
the way the member has characterised that, I think it would be helpful if we just dealt specifically with that before going on to the other parts of this theme. The first thing to know is that that definition has been carefully worked out by a cross-sector working group making up representatives from the sector, from the disability sector, from the PPTA, the NZEI, the School Trustees Association, all of whom have completely understood the context in which this applies. And it is important in terms of defining seclusion, because it is what we are saying is not allowed, is to include those words of involuntary and belief. Now that then puts the concomitant responsibility on ensuring that communication is really clear when teachers are, as the member's already identified, using the desirable practice of time out or the continuum of other strategies that teachers have available to them to manage poor behaviour or to help a student self-manage and de-stress. And so I would be expecting the Ministry of Education to issue guidelines on those communications, again worked out with the sector, to ensure that a vulnerable student understands what they can or can't do related to managing their own behaviour. So I hear what the member is saying, I hear what others have said in expressing concern about this, and it has been difficult for the sector to advise on exactly what the definition should be, but we want to clearly be able to draw a line and say this is what seclusion looks like, and it's unacceptable, and therefore these self-managing or facilitation techniques are included, and how do we ensure that schools get support to communicate in ways that both the child and the teacher, and actually the other children in the classroom, appreciate and respect what is going on. Thank you, Mr Chair.
Catherine Delahunty.
Yeah, just on that